No one will notice. They just pop it back to where it was.
So on a drying circuit down to Lisboa, Cam Sheldon van der Linde then. Raffaele Marciello for Toro Racing. Another one to watch, Augusto Farfus Team KRC, a very local underdog team, playing with the big boys. And Augusto Farfus will be helping the squad, no doubt, to develop and progress over the course of the weekend.
I remember Augusto in a BMW here at Macau one year, and it was one of the famous BMW art cars, but it was just stealth black, because you only got the art of the BMW if you downloaded the app and held it virtual reality over the car. If you saw the car here, you could hold your phone over it and then the art would appear in front of you on an app.
Right.
I know. Technology at its greatest, and a great marketing tool to use for this weekend.
So, drivers on track and eager to get on with the job, and that is proved by the fact that Mauro Engel and Edo Mortara were going purple in the second sector, as now the session, with the clock ticking on down, is underway. It looks almost Le Mans-like, Spa 24 Hours-like, doesn't it, with the headlights on as the cars pierce the gloom. It's not raining at the moment, but there is, as you can see, still a lot of water on the road that needs to be dissipated, and certain parts of the circuit looking a lot wetter than others.
Huge amount of spray, absolutely massive amount of spray, as they make their way up once again. Now they're going to be looking after Donna Maria, this left-hander, long left-hander, threading their way up towards, okay, everybody cross your fingers. We need to get all of these cars neatly around the Velco hairpin, which is not going to be the work of a moment with such a slippery, wet surface.
And all of that power, these are the most powerful cars that we have taken to the circuit this weekend. And even though these are star drivers, even they can be caught out by just how treacherous that part of the racetrack is. So we have got cars coming towards the end of the lap, and we're not seeing a yellow flag legend on the timing screen. That is good news. There's Sheldon van der Linde ready to pull the pin and go on to a flying lap as he comes then out of our bend. Got another of the BMWs chasing after him, which is the car of Dries van Thor. Then it is Ralph Ahrens' Mercedes AMG, and the first of the Ferraris to watch, Daniel Serra behind. Right, flying laps now underway.
Can I just say, we've seen Jules Gounon on this outlap put in a purple in Sector 4, something I don't think we saw him do throughout the course of last year. So let's really keep our fingers crossed that he has a much better weekend. He's a brilliant driver, and we need to see him shine at Macau.
Absolutely, yeah. It was disappointing last year, and nobody felt the disappointment more acutely than Jules.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons he's back with a point to prove. He's also spread his wings this year into, like a number of GT drivers, into hypercar by racing on occasions for Alpine within the World Endurance Championship, but is one very definitely of the stars of GT3, and that's saying something because there are an awful lot of stars.
This is just a great lineup. What a selection of mouth-watering machinery and superb world-class drivers. Can't wait for this weekend. You may have noticed.
Yeah, in GT Racing, he's having this amazing purple patch. Big slide from Dries van Thor there. Survives it. And of course, the GT3 rule set all around the world. The category created by Stefan Rattel, who has been the architect of the success of GT Racing. This grid put together by the SRO Motorsports Group, which coordinates the race, and has managed to put together, as I say, this outstanding grid. Right, Van Thor hustling on behind van der Linde. These two have shared cars, but right now they are gloves off, trying to prove who is top dog. And more purples are coming. Edo Mortara does an absolute best. Daniel Serra does an absolute best. Lawrence Van Thor has done an absolute best. Mortara does two absolute bests. And the road is only going to get drier and faster.
22 minutes left of this free practice session, so we're only just coming up to 1/3 distance. Really good news that we were able to get that time back and have potentially this go for a full 30 minutes of free practice for the GT cars. They just look so intimidating around this circuit. Every little bump you...
Yeah, you're right, and I have to say these conditions are pretty evil for them, because you've got at certain parts of the circuit now, neither wet nor dry. It's greasy more than anything else. You can see the way the cars are squirming. Up towards the timing line then comes Sheldon van der Linde, and he offers up a target time of 2 minutes 40, but he's bested by Dries van Voor. So that's the quickest car in the session, number 32 BMW. 32 has always been the sort of favoured WRT number. Just because it has been, really. There's no science behind it. Edo Mortara, though, goes fastest, 2 minutes 40.129, 52 thousandths quicker than Van Voor. Jules Gounon goes third, and then it's Van der Linde, Aron, and Yefe was sixth. He's now seventh because Mauro Engel gets himself up in the fifth. But Mortara, what do you call him, Mr. Macau? He's quickest.
Eduardo Mortara quickest, Dries van Voor second, Jules Gounon is third, Sheldon van der Linde is fourth, Mauro Engel, three-time winner here at Macau, is fifth, and Malfao is in sixth position after the flying lap that they're completing after the restart of this session.
But there are others to come. We haven't yet had a lap time out of Raffaele Marciello, nor Lawrence Van Voor, BMW and Porsche factory drivers each. So there's a lot to shake out of this session. Riding on board with Edo Mortara, and a lot less water on the windscreen, a lot less water being spat up at him. The road, he's getting better all the time. Danny Jonquedeya now goes quickest then, the Spanish driver, 2 minutes 40.1, 8 thousandths quicker than Mortara, 8 thousandths over a 6 kilometre long lap.
Of all the cars to shift a bit of water, these are the cars to do it. It's the first time we've really seen water being moved on the tarmac over the course of this morning so far. Laurent Van Voor goes top 2:37.868. You made a brief mention of the fact that he's won this race here at Macau on his roof. He did. He was having an amazing battle with the Porsche of El Bamba. A big accident. The car ended up sort of almost climbing the fencing and finishing up on its roof. The result went back a lap, and so he won the race. And I think no one was more surprised than he was. Was there not something at the trophy awards at the end of that year that someone gave him a trophy that was upside down on the plinth?
Possibly,
yeah.
And I do remember the week after it was the SRO Awards, and I said something about I didn't recognise you the right way up, or something like that. But he took it all in good part.
He did, yeah.
Look, a win is a win.
Yeah, absolutely. He was the most of, and we're still talking about it now.
Yeah.
And what was that? 2016,
yeah,
something like
right.
that. Yeah.
There is in the UK a regulation that says if you are not running at the time of a red flag, you don't stay in the result. That isn't an international sporting code regulation, so it doesn't apply here.
It's discretionary, isn't it? I think it's for this event. I think that year it was at the discretion of the stewards or something like that. So.
Well, he's the fastest, and the interesting part now is that you've got Porsche, BMW, Lamborghini, BMW, Ferrari, Mercedes, AMG in your top six. It's not a Mercedes route.
No, absolutely not. This is fascinating. Mauro Engel goes top. Three-time winner, yeah, as soon as you say. A 2:37.4 for Mauro Engel, who is supreme around here. We can say it about so many of the drivers, but Mauro Engel over the course of the years has been brilliant.
Yeah. And he comes here as this year's GT World Challenge Europe Sprint Cup champion, and this is the ultimate sprint, isn't it? So it puts him in good stead.
It is. I love this form of GT racing. A sprint race for these cars is just brilliant. It amalgamates everything that I love about racing. So it's like a touring car race in length,
yeah.
But it's with GT cars, and around this circuit, this is perfect.
And proper people in them as well.
Yeah.
So really impressive drivers. Yeah. So Mauro Engel is the fastest then. You're looking at him. He's another, as Alan Hyde has made the point, Macau maestro. So he knows exactly where to position that car. Raffaele Marciello, incidentally, last year's winner of the Macau GT Cup, has just gone 11th. And Mauro Engel comes then down through the approach to Moorish, onto Police in a moment. The road does drop down a little at that point. There's another climb, of course, coming later in the lap. And this part of the circuit's so narrow. In a GT car, it's just follow my leader. Right, through Moorish, into Police. Short straight, another sharp right. And a climb up the road as well here. And then the run to Donna Maria. So Mauro Engel fastest by 0.4 of a second. And he's given himself a lovely bit of clear track, hasn't he? Nobody around him.
Absolutely perfect, because the amount of spray that's kicked up by a car in front, particularly with these really wide tyres, and this is not going to work, is it? 4 cars already are stopped at the exit of Melco.
It looks like Daniel Serra's Ferrari is the casualty. Oh, big drama that I think might be Laurens Vanthoor trying to get through the traffic. Bang, there's contact. Audi hits Audi. And people are arriving too rapidly, that's the problem. So the 2 Audis got themselves together there. That looked like Adderley Fong possibly that got into the back of Christopher Hauser.
Just
red flag again.
I just realised I was holding my breath because every car that appeared just been no, too quick. And now we've got a rather large car park, and unfortunately it is that there's no way of turning that car around easily, is there?
No, he's the wrong side of the 90 degrees as well. So Macau strikes again. And this is going to take a little bit of clearing up, isn't it? So everybody stops, and as soon as possible, the cars will head to the pit lane, and the clock has stopped again here. So that's good news in terms of giving them the mileage, but big frustration for the drivers that yet again we're interrupted.
And yet again the clock has stopped.
Good.
15:50. So halfway through, can they actually manage to execute a 3-point turn on this car? They're doing their best, aren't they?
But the lock is so marginal.
Yeah, it is.
Were it dry and were it a flying lap, you'd be looking at first gear, obviously, for the Melco hairpin. But the data trace offers you take that corner at 36 kilometers an hour. Okay, hold that thought.
Think about that. Yeah.
You're arriving at Lisboa at 282.
Yeah.
Now, if you want a sharper contrast to what Macau is all about in terms of the corners and the speeds, 282 kilometers an hour at one part and 36 kilometers an hour at another.
There's nothing like it, is there, anywhere in the world? And we are now having the view on board the Lamborghini with Edo Mortara sat at the wheel, just passing time. They're used to this. Those that have been coming to Macau know exactly what you have to do. You have to be patient, because the time will come eventually.
Yes, and the road opens up now, and off we set. Yes. It's like waiting for that swing bridge to get back in place, and then you can all set off again.
There's going to be a few cars that are going to be second-hand after that, though, aren't there?
Yeah, I do think it was Adderley Fong that got in the back of Christopher Hauser.
Well, should we talk about Adderley's car?
Well, let me just mention, there it is going through the hairpin. Behind is Laurens Vanthoor's Porsche, which you might have seen reversing, because he put himself back into the traffic. He went up the inside so he didn't hit anybody, but then reversed back into the queue, so just to make sure there was no possible penalty. Now, Adderley Fong,
yes,
go to the Racing Team Audi. Last year, the car was adorned in Hello Kitty colours. This year, it has a different character and a different sponsor. Alan Hyde will explain, but before he does, don't judge him.
So, well, I like to think that I know a little bit about this car, because I've done my research, and so the character on Adderley's car this weekend is still part of the Hello Kitty fold, if you like, but it's a new character. It's Kuromi, who is a little rabbit, and was released for Halloween just a couple of weeks ago. How much more do you want to know?
Keep going. Red flag.
Kuromi is female, was born on the 31st of October this year, and do you want to know personality likes?
You mean I have a choice?
Likes cooking, romance novels, writing in her diary, cute toys, black, hot pink and purple.
Which is the livery of the car.
Dislikes high attitude, extreme stunts, or overly girly things.
Okay. When you say this was released...
Yeah, so there was an episode, I think, of a television programme, I think, which went out on the 31st of October this year. So it's a brand new character.
I see. Right, Kuromi.
Kuromi, the little rabbit. the Halloween rabbit.
An evil rabbit or a good rabbit?
I think a bit evil.
Ooh.
Yeah. But in fairness, I think in Hello Kitty world, evil is a relative concept.
True. True.
I don't think it ever gets that nasty.
Okay, right.
A hugely loved character, Hello Kitty, in this part of the world, and the proof of that is there are 2 little stalls outside the Grand Prix that are selling the unique for this weekend Kuromi livery T-shirts, cars, and the queue this morning when we came in. What time? 8 o'clock this morning, 7:30 this morning.
It's down the road, isn't it?
Absolutely down the road.
You are limited to 3 purchases per person, and there are people that come from the mainland, from Hong Kong, from China, not to the track, just to the store. They've no interest in coming into the circuit.
Bloke had his suitcase this morning, didn't he?
Here for the merchandise. It is utterly extraordinary.
And the car looks great. It looks supreme.
The car does look great, and before you ask, yes, he has got a T-shirt.
I have, yeah. Might wear it tomorrow. See what happens.
You evil rabbit, you. Yes. Adderley Fong, who is carrying the colours of Kuromi, is 20th, but we haven't really seen the best out of him nor the rabbit. The team's then ready to send the cars back out on track. The good thing is there's no damage, so it's purely that the cars need to be sent. Matt Harvey there, the engineer, looking at Danny Junkadea and saying, you look at me, and when I drop my hand, that's when you need to go. The Australian engineer saying, we're nearly ready, 10 seconds before the session is back underway. And the lights will go green at the end of the pit lane any second, so that will get the cars released for Craft Bamboo Racing. Come on, Matt, drop your hand. Green flag is shown at the end. Go! And that's the launch. But you can see the importance. Get out early, maintain track position. You do not want to be in a queue of cars.
So twice we have had a problem during this session, and both times on the exits of Melco, which is amazing because they're not having problems elsewhere. It's just on that one little extreme pitch point on the circuit.
Yes,
with these huge cars.
You could argue, couldn't you, that it's one of the ironies of the day that the category in which we've had more dramas are the ones with the manufacturer-paid, contracted drivers. Some of the real pros of the sport.
It's true.
Such fun. Now, 15 minutes still on the clock, and third time lucky, really. Now the drivers still haven't had a proper stint, have they? They still need to get in a proper run programme out of this session. The road is drying all the time, and in fairness, it is tempting to believe, isn't it, whether it's this or any other category on track that we've had today, that you're not really going to do too much. If the car's not ideal in these conditions, you can live with that because you know that when you need it, it's going to be dry.
Just don't hurt the car on day one. It's a 4-day meeting. Today is free practice day. Tomorrow is qualifying day, and then we have qualification races on Saturday and the big races on Sunday. Imagine if you damaged the car today of all days, and then the forecast for the weekend is that we're going to have really good weather on Saturday and Sunday, dry conditions. You've kind of spoiled the weekend. What for? For nothing, really.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got to qualify in the wet, then okay, you do need the car to work, but then you're chasing a different setup for race day. 14 minutes on the clock. Sheldon van der Linde is the fastest now. We didn't see the lap time be confirmed, but he is quicker than Mauro Engel. So it's van der Linde, Engel, Van Thor, Dries ahead of Lawrence. There's a fascinating little family battle going on there. The two of them.
I can't remember if the both of them have competed in the same race here at Macau.
I thought they did last year, but I need to double check.
Yeah, you may well be right, but it's only just crossed my mind. I know we've had either or, and I wasn't sure that we'd have them both, but you've got the result. You'll have it there. We've got 13 minutes and 20 seconds of this session remaining, and what a treat it is. What an absolute joy it is to see these cars out around the circuit here at Macau. I reckon you're going to say no.
I'm wrong. Dries didn't do it last year.
Yeah, it's been one or the other over the course of the years. I think this is the first year that we've had the both of them together.
Well, bearing in mind that they're third and fourth in the times and pretty close, therefore, to one another, this bodes for something. Bearing in mind that, was it 2 years ago in the Nürburgring 24 Hours, they made contact. Lawrence was not going to give up the place, and he ended up crashing out. I think Dries went on to win the race that year, but they certainly came Not to blows, that's unfair, because they get on very, very well. They even have their own podcast. The pair of them sit and host. But there's certainly pride at stake. Laurens Vanthoor is the elder brother. Dad was a very handy racer. Laurens Vanthoor took part in the Macau Grand Prix when it was in the Formula 3 era. Dries did have a spell in single-seaters, but has largely been a GT driver after a single year of Formula Renault, really.
Yeah, Laurens 33 years old, Dries 26 years old, so good to have them both out over the course of this weekend. We think of first. I'm pretty sure it's a first. So Sheldon van der Linde on the outlet, top of the times. Eduardo Mortara has just put in a purple second sector. He's completed his outlet from pit lane. 29.037 is the overall best in sector number 2 for Edo Mortara, currently 5th. Not yet seen a notable time for Raffaele Marciello, have we?
No. He is building up to it, I think.
Yeah.
But keeping his powder dry, adapting, if you like, back to GT3, having spent some of his year in GT3 cars, but also some of the season in hypercar. And we also need to see what the Audis can offer up. As you look at 51 of Daniel Serra. Now, he's 6th fastest in the Ferrari, Daniel Serra. With 11 minutes on the clock in this interrupted session.
Edo is pushing on as well, so he's now gone purple in sector 3 as well. Laurens Vanthoor has put in a purple in the first sector. So Mortara then sector 4 as well. Purple sector 2, purple sector 3, purple sector 4 for Edo Mortara in the Lamborghini. Just waiting for the completion of the final sector for Edo Mortara in car 63. Coming up to the completion of the lap with Laurens Vanthoor going purple in the first 2 sectors as well. And Serra goes top. So Daniel Serra goes to the top of the times, and then Edo Mortara, top of the times, 2:35.149. So Mortara, top of the times in the Lamborghini. Daniel Serra goes second. And let's have a look what Laurens Vanthoor is doing, because he has dropped down to 9th, but he has gone purple in the first 2 sectors. So Laurens Vanthoor, well worth looking at, personal best in sector 3. But Mortara to the top of the times, just under 10 minutes. We're in the final third now.
And Yefi's Ferrari up to 4th now. Let's see, Picariello was 5th, but Augusto Farfus has gone ahead of him. Laurens Vanthoor is a man on a mission, though, because, as Alan's been saying, he's got 2 absolute bests and a personal. So that lap is being built together quite nicely. James Quayu's Audi has also just gone through and is an improver up to 19th fastest. Sheldon van der Linde, who was top early on, has dropped to 9th and hasn't gone any quicker on that last lap. There is the charging Laurens Vanthoor then. Had another improvement out of the traffic, but Vanthoor, with 2 corners to go, is 2.7 seconds off the top time. And here, the Porsche, which comes out of the Absolute Racing stable, no traffic around to get in the way, looks good. The Tsingtao Beer entry is brewing up nicely for a good time, I would suspect, as he comes then out of the R bend. And Mortara quickest on a 2:35.149. Vanthoor goes quicker still, 2:34.9. So Laurens Vanthoor, best time of the day, the first driver into the 2:34s. Mega.
And Mortara has been taking those purple sectors away from Vanthoor. So Edo Mortara is once again putting in purple sectors. Sector 2, he's gone purple. Sector 3, he's gone purple. Hang on, we need to rein this in. This is only free practice. What are we doing here? Exciting already. So Laurens Vanthoor goes to the top of the times with a 2:34.9. Mortara is so full sector was not even a personal best for Mortara. Has he backed off a little bit on this lap? We shall see.
There's traffic up the road. You're riding with him. I'm trying not to be a party pooper here, but I think a lot of the shuffling of times is down to the road drying out, rather than any one driver or any one brand having an advantage. And it's tricking you at the moment. There's no clear pattern. People are going quicker as the road evolves around them. Over the line goes Mortara, goes back to the top though, so he may have had one rogue sector, but a 2:34.0 means he is a whopping 6/10 quicker than Daniel Serra, who is up to second, and that means that Mortara to Vanthor is 9/10. That's how much the road is drying now.
Danny Juncadella has just gone fourth, so good luck for Danny, the Spanish driver. And yeah, party pooper. Don't like that idea.
Sorry.
It's drying.
Well, it is.
But you're right, yeah.
And that's why you're seeing not only the lap times come down, but the margins between them. You know, Vanthor is a hero. A lap later, he's 9/10 off, and he's down to fourth. But he'll get back up there on his next dry lap.
He will. 7 minutes remain of this session, and these cars will be back out at local time at 2:35 this afternoon for another half-an-hour session. The good news is they've gone.
That was Kuromi, the Audi, just going through there. Just to go back to your evil rabbit monologue of earlier on.
Yes, I've given out quite a bit of information. I think I'll hold it back for free practice too.
Thank God.
I'll ask questions tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. This is Vanthor in the... You see how Alan and I differ here. He looks at evil rabbits. I get excited about cars sponsored by a brewer. Beer is always an interest. You're riding on board here, though, with another hero. The Chinese driver Ye Yifei came out of single-seaters into the Ferrari GT ranks, and he has done an absolute, a personal, and then a slower third sector. So the lap is tailing off rather than picking up.
But you're right, because we're getting purple sectors from pretty much the whole field at the moment. We are getting drier and drier. These big wide tyres, if anything was going to shift water, it was going to be the GT cars, wasn't it?
Up to fourth, Laurin Heinrich, Porsche factory driver. So Heinrich, who is another, I mean, it almost goes without saying in this entry, a man to watch, but Laurin Heinrich then up to fourth quickest. Carrera Cup Germany champion. Making his Macau debut, so going nicely.
We're competing in IMSA this year.
That's right, yeah. Very good sim racer, as well as Laurin Heinrich. So it's Mortara, Serra, Engel, Heinrich, Vanthor, L, Juncadella, the top six. That's Lamborghini, Ferrari, Mercedes, Porsche, Mercedes.
Do you know what I'm still puzzled about, though? So we've got 5 minutes and 20 seconds. We've still not seen the proper lap from Raffaele Marciello, have we?
Not really, and he's down in 20th.
Yeah.
So whether this is that the car isn't liking the conditions,
or is there any purpose in pushing on? I'm not sure.
I'm leaning towards a BMW issue, because the best of them is only 8th. We've got Juncadella up to second, Yifei has just gone up to third, but Farfus is 8th, Van der Linde is 9th, and then you sort of have to look a long way down to Dries Vanthor 19th and Marciello 20th. I think the BMWs aren't liking these in-between conditions.
A conditions thing.
Yeah.
I think you might well be right. Looking at the Melco hairpin as they thread their way through, twice we've had a stop of this session, and both times the exits of the Melco hairpin has been the reason. It's a yellow, it's covered by a yellow, no overtaking over the whole course of the 4 days of the Macau Grand Prix. You can't overtake because there's no way you can do it safely. So over the course of the whole weekend, you can't overtake there. But you can sometimes, as we've seen during this session, get it wrong on the exit. Eduardo Mortara has just put in a purple overall best in the second sector. Tops the times already, says the number 63 car, and there we go, it's Melco again, isn't it?
That's Lawrence Vanthor up the escape road, so he's gone straight on. That brings out a yellow, he hooks reverse gear. Meanwhile, there's an Audi R8 Cup battle kind of going on there, as you've got Christopher Haase trying to fend off the traffic around him, and the speed building all the time now on this run, ultra-fast part of the circuit. This is Vanthor in replay, gets the wet part of the road, can't slow down in time, and knows exactly what to do, aims for a gap in the barrier, aims for the escape road, stops, hooks reverse, gets going, and the session is unaffected. Right.
Experience helps, doesn't it,
yeah. And talking experience, Edo Mortara, fastest. You're on board with him. Look how narrow it feels at this part of the racetrack.
It's almost like the barriers envelope the car on this section into the right-hander.
Out of Melco.
Very, very tight indeed. And then the circuit opens up quicker and quicker.
And it's raining again, isn't it? Because the wiper was on, and even though there was nothing ahead of him, there was water coming onto the screen. So I think it's starting to rain once more, and that therefore means that the lap times may not be improving. The tyres will have enough temperature in still to work, but if it carries on in this vein, it's going to get slower.
Mortara's still got 3 purples, hasn't he? Sector 2, Sector 3, Sector 4, coming up towards Sector 5. Is it going to be an even better lap? It was 2:33.3. 2:33.3 for Eduardo Mortara.
But bubbling under is a BMW looking a bit more racy. Dries van Voor has done an absolute best Sector 1 and a personal best Sector 2. Danny Junqueira has just gone through and has gone slower. Is that now going to start a trend if the rain is starting to fall once more? So Mortara, Laurin Heinrich though up to second fastest now. Not bad on his Macau debut. Laurin Heinrich second quickest, although 0.8 of a second is the margin. Waiting for Dries van Voor, there he is to get to the end of Sector 3. And again, he's got the road to himself, but he's down in the 3rd sector. I was going to say, it doesn't look that quick at this part of the circuit, but you've got to be so careful anyway. But I think he's backed out of it.
Backed off, yeah, I think you're right, absolutely right. But with the windscreen wipers going, yeah, it promised so much, didn't it? Overall best in the 1st sector. But Mortara's not done yet. He's got purple in Sector 2. He's got the quickest time of any.
Uh-oh.
And, yeah, we have
Danny Junqueira at Lisboa.
Down at Lisboa, yeah. He's facing the right way. He just needs a gap in the traffic now.
Blasts away, gets himself back on track. Yeah, you're right, Mortara, personal best, absolute best.
See what we're doing in Sector 3. Green in Sector 1, purple in Sector 2. And let's see what happens. No, so nothing so special in Sector 3. That may well have been traffic that caused that. Less than 1 minute of this session remains. On board with Eduardo Mortara.
And it's absolutely chucking it down at the start line, Alan. So out of our window, we can now see that it is much heavier rain, and straight away much more spray has just been kicked up by, I think it was Ralph Aaron's Mercedes AMG that came through. Dries van Voor, despite backing off on his lap, has carried on, but I think we've seen the best of the times in the session now.
Yeah, quite a lot. So all the good that they were doing with those big wide tyres, pushing the water to one side. We saw lines appearing, not dry lines, but drier lines appearing around the circuit. Well, that's finished. And Eduardo Mortara is, although Sector 2 was purple, not even a personal best in Sector 3 and 4. So will remain on top of the times. And that will be a checkered flag for the Macau GT Cup, FIA GT World Cup. We get to do that all over again this afternoon.
Raffaele Marciello kind of responded to your urges and got himself up to 12th. As you look there at Jules Gounon, who's flattered to deceive a little bit in that session because he ends up 18th.